So, I am on my way to Home Depot. It is dark. It is almost a new year. And this is one of the warmest days we've had in the last month at least. I think it was at 40 degrees today. And we've been having temperatures like well below freezing. So I'm going to Home Depot to get something to kind of take advantage of the warmer weather while it's here. Because there's things that you simply cannot do when it's 19 degrees outside. I guess I'll just speak transparently. I am going to get a sprayer. I'm going to get a pump sprayer. And the reason I'm going to get a pump sprayer is, number one, it seems like a good thing to have for multiple uses. I'm in the left lane and this person is driving at least 5 under the limit. So I'm going to move over to the right lane. So I'm going to get a pump sprayer, and the particular reason why is so I can spray the undercarriage of my truck so I can clean it. Because here in New England, we get a lot of snow and a lot of ice, and that means a lot of salt, and that means rusted vehicles. If you're not familiar with New England weather or cold, wintry weather, one of the biggest problems we deal with for vehicles in particular is rust. And a lot of vehicles get trashed, go to the junkyard or whatever because of problems related to rust in this part of the world. And like, a lot of vehicles don't pass, as far as I know, I'm not a mechanic, but a lot of vehicles don't pass our inspections because of rust and because of problems related to rust. So I lived without a vehicle. Whoa, there's a person on the side of the highway. I guess this isn't the highway. Side of the road here. There's not a lot of space over there. It's not a spot for walking. Glad I saw. Anyway, I lived several years of my adult life without a vehicle most of the time. Sometimes I would have a vehicle. And I had a vehicle when I was a teenager. I got my license a little bit late, but not too late. I was probably 17 when I got my license. And I'm trying to take good care of my vehicle, my truck. And where am I going to park? Let's park here. Let's just park here. This will be fine. So I grew up in a family that was very hands-on. I didn't grow up on a farm. I cannot see back there. I didn't grow up on a farm, but I grew up in a family business, and we're very hands-on, very DIY, and so I learned some of those skills. I definitely learned some of those skills, but perhaps more than anything else, I just learned the skill of being hands-on and doing things for yourself. Hold on. There were a lot of things that I did when I was younger that I didn't realize could be viable ways of making income, because they were just like they were just given to me, or they were like low wage maintenance sort of jobs that I was used to. But one thing I did not really learn about, so I learned about landscaping, and and I ended up actually starting a landscape specialty business myself when I was in my early 20s, doing hardscaping, or more specifically just doing fountains. And I don't need to go a lot into that story right now, but I learned some carpentry and woodworking, and I've continued to learn those things and refine those skills. And a lot of the things that I learned, I wasn't really super aware of them when I was learning them. I was just being thrown into these situations, and so I was just doing these things, or watching my older family members do them, older siblings and stuff do them, and just observing and picking up things. And I didn't really think about a lot of them, about the expertise of them, because it was when you're just kind of used to doing different things, you don't think of them as different trades. Like there was a lot of things that I did, at least somewhat, that later on, as I became an adult and got into my 20s, I learned like, oh, there's people that only do this thing. Like that's a trade of its own. What was my point in all this? I didn't learn cars very much. That's kind of my point that I'm getting at. I learned some basic stuff just along with all that other stuff, and I probably forgot some of it along the way, but I really didn't learn how to do cars. And when I was still in school and I was figuring out what I was going to do, a number of people thought I should go to college. I did well in school. They thought, go to college. And I was considering going to trades. While where I went to high school, you could go to basically a trade school, a technical school, while you were still in high school. But it would mean that that's really what you were doing. You weren't going to participate in the regular high school classes the same way if you did that. And you may not really be ready for college or whatever else if you did that. And I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I really wanted to do a few different things. I wanted to learn a few different trades, and I really wanted to learn them not necessarily because I wanted to work in them for 40 years or even 10 years, or really even at all, but I wanted to have the skills. I wanted to know how to do those things so that they were in my belt, my tool belt. And anyway, auto mechanics was one of those things. And so I'm learning now, and it feels slow sometimes. And I've realized that's partly just auto mechanics. I'm just learning on my own at this point, with the help of the internet and YouTube and whatever else, and and some people around me at times. And I don't know, I feel like I haven't gotten to the point of this video. Part of the reason I wanted to do this was because I recently have been looking back on some of the videos I've done over the years. I've always been interested in YouTube and in video and things like that. When I was in my early 20s, I got into the online world, into online entrepreneurship and the possibilities there. So anyway, I've looked at some of the videos I've done over the last several years now, and it just like occurred to me as I was driving over here about like where I was 5 years ago or 4 years ago, which is some of the videos that I was watching were that age, and where I'll be and what age I'll be at that point. I'm 32 right now. And yeah. And with the new, at the end of this year, of course, thinking about the year I've had, I'm thinking back further than that, and I'm thinking to the new year. So, I'm trying to fit a lot into this video. I'm trying to make it all make sense and everything. But I think I've done enough now. Let's go get a pump sprayer. I'm trying to remember if I've ever used one before. I feel like I must have. It's just funny, like thinking about the things that I've done. I'm like, thinking about the things that I've done in my life, I'm like, I must have used a pump sprayer at some point. I don't know. Usually they're used for like landscape maintenance stuff, like just, you know, for spraying, for weeding and stuff like that. Pesticide. Anyways, before my brain gets too tired, I should go do this. I feel like I'm learning a lot through hands-on stuff recently, and that's a really good thing. Sometimes I wonder about the things I'm doing. I'm like, does that even make sense? Sometimes I wonder about how much I'm learning about things. I'm like, does this even make sense to learn about? When I was in my early 20s, I was much more focused on like, what am I trying to say? I was much more focused on like sort of specializing. I was into online entrepreneurship. I learned marketing and things like that. And I was much more focused on those things and like making a future with that, creating sustainable income for myself with that, finding a path that could make a lot of money and setting my life up like that. And then some things happened, and along the way I was really into self-improvement because of the mentor that I found through entrepreneurship, and that got me into internal work. I guess you could say self-development work, and ultimately led to spirituality and led me on a spiritual path. And I suppose with some time there, it's sort of contextualized my life and what mattered to me. And I thought that, well, finding ways to create wealth made a lot of sense. Learning how to create in-demand products or services and businesses, and being able to automate them, make them passive, makes a lot of sense. It's great, but it's important to have life in your life, and some of that stuff can, I don't know, you'd see the stories about people that get into cushy office jobs or whatever, corporate jobs, and then they're just like miserable because they don't feel alive. So I think the technological stuff that I got into has its place. The internet, I think entrepreneurship has its place. I think technological entrepreneurship, online entrepreneurship has its place. And I don't know what point I'm trying to bring this all to. See, I don't want to stop the video here because I know as soon as I do, I'm going to be like, that, I want to say that right now. And I won't want to go and do what I'm doing until I get it said, so that I don't forget and that it's off my mind. But I really just value life. And I think that's part of why all the things in my life that matter to me, why they're all interesting to me, including doing videos, doing things online, sharing things online, offering things online. Documenting. That's part of why the documentation is interesting, so interesting or important to me. Let's go get a pump sprayer. Let's do that. I'm still waiting to see if something comes to mind to finish this all up, but let's go get a pump sprayer.